Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Heather Dessette, and I am the Marketing and Event Specialist here at NetElixir. Today, we are joined by our partners at Microsoft Ads for the final day of our Modern Search webinar series. For those of you not familiar with NetElixir, we are a search marketing agency that specializes in helping retail brands find and acquire new customers online. Our mission is to help companies succeed by humanizing every click. Here at NetElixir, we are comprised of 130 fanatically analytical global search marketers. Since 2004, our data-intensive approach and deep retail expertise have delivered success for hundreds of brands in a highly competitive marketplace. Before I introduce today's presentation, I would like to welcome NetElixir's Director of Paid Media, Manish Mohan, who will give you a better understanding of NetElixir and Microsoft partnership.
Thanks, Heather. So over the past few weeks, we have had a couple of webinars focusing on modern search and our point of view on how automation, smart bidding, measurement, and creative excellence will drive the future of paid search. We also had a webinar where we shared a couple of updates from the recently held Google Marketing Live and some of the new products and features that Google will be rolling out over the next few months. One of the things that we focus on a lot at NetElixir is making sure that your advertising dollars are invested across a diverse portfolio. We all know that Google has a higher market share in the paid search world, but it's also important to understand the market share that Bing owns, or Microsoft Ads as it's called now, and the fact that not all your customers are on one channel. Right? They could be on paid media channels, they could be on social media channels. So it's important to treat the whole digital marketing strategy as a portfolio and have presence across multiple touch points. Talking specifically about Microsoft Ads, Microsoft and Bing have made some very powerful advancements in the recent months. They have launched some great features which are a great value add for any advertiser in the paid search world. We have had the privilege of partnering with Microsoft as a select partner and rolling out some of these features to all our clients. To talk more about some of these features and how Microsoft Ads are dealing with artificial intelligence and machine learning, I would like to invite our agency partners, Milton and Joe.
All right, well, thank you very much, Manish. I appreciate that. And before we get started, we'll be talking a little bit about the Microsoft advertising and Bing Ads, specifically our market share and how we have come to reach 35% in the US. We're going to be talking a little bit about AI today, but before we go into that, let me give you a quick peek into the importance of Bing at Microsoft All Up. So AI isn't just another piece of technology. It really is the fundamental brain of Microsoft as a whole. When we're thinking about the different products that we have like Azure and Xbox and Office, Bing is really the power that gets all of the search formed into all of these different products. This gentleman here, Satya Nadella, is our CEO, and he was one of the original engineers of Bing's platform. And so when he became CEO, he saw that there was an opportunity for us to incorporate that search functionality into all of Microsoft products. And throughout that, in the last 5 to 6 years, we've seen a big boost in market share. So why is it important for us to invest in the Bing network? And why is it important, if you are already investing, for you to continue to invest in our network? Bing is actually bigger than we think. So in the US today, we have about 35% piece market share, and that's 9.2 billion monthly queries across all devices. It's a big portion of market share. When we look at that, and I think if I were a brick-and-mortar store, it's kind of like having my business open before Untitled Chapter. If you're not running Bing and you're just running other platforms, our audience is very diverse than Google's and Yahoo's and other platforms. So nearly half of Bing users are under the age of 45. Nearly a third of the Bing network audience has a household income of about 100,000. So 50% female and 50% male, and half of the Bing network audience graduated from college. So a little bit more, definitely a little bit older as well, but not necessarily 50 or 60 plus. We range from 45 plus and above, and below as well. When we think about a strategy for advertising over on the Bing side, mobile is extremely important, especially when we're opted into our syndication partners. But a desktop heavy strategy is also important because we do skew a lot higher there. Cross-device strategy for partnerships. So Bing did not get to 35% market share alone. We definitely work with other businesses and other partnerships to get into a higher market share that we've seen. So our syndication partners, distribution, and Microsoft properties have helped us. One of the coolest things that I think was done recently was when we incorporated all of Bing into Cortana on the Microsoft properties, and then also incorporated Bing into Amazon products like Alexa and Kindle. Yahoo, as of today and as of this year, we power all of their mobile and all of their desktop, CBS Interactive as well, and they're just a few that we'd like to call out, but there are plenty and hundreds of different partnerships. As I mentioned earlier, it's really important to have a cross-device strategy, specifically a desktop, but Bing is also the default search engine for Xbox, Office, Cortana, and Apple devices series image results. I know that may be a little shocking that we power so many of these different massive platforms, but we do partner with them and Amazon is definitely one of the closest partnerships that we have today. I want to just call out as well that from a cross-device strategy perspective, over on the Edge side, we have about 900 million devices that are using Windows 10, and specifically to Edge, 90% of these folks are keeping Edge as their browser, which is an unbranded browser that has a search functionality that's powered by Bing, meaning that they're not switching over to different browsers. And this has been really great for Bing and has helped us increase our market share year over year. Going into mobile, so cross-device strategy on mobile is extremely important. And 67% of Bing network mobile click is from our syndication partnership. So that was what the slide that we were talking about that had all the different partners. And 32% increase in mobile Bing network syndication. So this is meaning when we're opted into this, we definitely have a higher reach for mobile. So all up, I'll leave you with this slide in terms of our market share. In 2011, we started at 29, and we slowly increased in 2019 at about 35%. So year over year, we have been getting stronger, more users onto our platforms, and with lower CPCs and a higher return, Bing is definitely an effective way for you to run your campaigns. Your verticals may be all different depending on who's on the call. So I wanted to throw out a slide that kind of talks about technology, business finance, retail, and so forth. And you can see that some of these numbers are higher than 35%. For example, healthcare. Healthcare being over indexes by 47%. That's almost 50% of the search volume in desktop is happening over on the Bing side. So it's extremely important for us to get some of these insights. NetElixir has a very large library of insights that we have over from the Bing side that you can request from. So if you're ever wondering about your vertical and what you can get from our end, reach out to our partners over at NetElixir. All right, so now we're going to get into the important part and the AI part of the presentation. And it's really talking about how AI is the functionality that really built the Microsoft Audience Network and created a product that we are super excited to talk to you about today.
Are you using Microsoft Audience Networks to extend your search campaign? Please take a moment to answer the first poll question. Okay, perfect. It looks like 83% of you aren't using it, but 17% are.
Awesome. So that's a really good, well, it's a good thing because we actually just released the Microsoft Audience Network at the beginning of the year. And for NetElixir clients, you're all open into the beta, so that way we can get you into this. But before we talk about getting you into the product, let me explain to you exactly what it is. So from an audience perspective, for the first time, intent data from search can be found outside of search to create a powerful match that's between the user's intent and then the advertiser's offering to deliver greater performance. There's a statistic out there that says that by 2021, 80% of advertisers will be taking advantage of audience-based solutions to get a better return and become very specific to customers that they want to attract. So this is actually interesting, right? When we're looking at the slide that talks about home of the new Microsoft audience ads, audience targeting does get you a better return. Why? The power of AI, regardless of if you're using Yahoo, Google, or Bing, it definitely gives you an opportunity to really target and generate the user that has intent to buy of a specific product or within a specific vertical. Going over into the next slide, native advertising reaches audiences across the consumer journey. At the same time, we've been seeing a huge growth in investment in native advertising, and according to eMarketer, actually, it's expected to reach $41 billion in 2019 and represent over 60% of total display advertising. So obviously, it's no surprise that native ads value across the customer's decision journey, and as seen through this IPG research, it drives lift in awareness and brand affinity. So going over into the next slide, the Microsoft audience ads are highly quality native placements. This is what they look like. So these placements are able to show on MSN, Microsoft Outlook, and Microsoft Edge. So I'm just going to pause here for a second so that way you can kind of see the different placements over on MSN, Outlook, and Edge. The placements themselves look very native-like. If you are running similar items over on GDN or Facebook, it's a very simple upload to bring over, but I'm going to go into the exact way that AI incorporates these placements by bidding on audiences. But before we do that, let's go to another poll question. Heather, I'll let you ask the question.
Okay, thank you, Milton. So our next poll question is, are you using native placements in your audience targeting strategy? Please take a moment to answer the poll. Okay, looks like 15% of you are using it, so we'll continue with the presentation.
All right, well, thanks, Heather. This next slide here talks about the different ad types. So we looked at the placements of where we're showing through running Bing ads for Microsoft Audience Network. This is the different types. So you can have text ads, you can have image-based ads, but we also do feed-based product ads, so shopping ads if you sell specific products. And so these will be within MSN, Outlook, and Edge, as we mentioned. And moving forward, we will have different partnerships that we will be logging into for the Microsoft Audience Network. The next slide talks a little bit about the network volume and in terms of our audience type. So 50% male, 50% female, very similar to the Bing audience, all up within search. And in terms of the age, it does skew a little bit older. Obviously, this data is from last year, so this year it's the 55 plus has dropped a little bit, but we are seeing anywhere from 45 to 55 plus as the affluent age demographic for the Microsoft Audience Network. Moving over into the other slide. So if you're running display campaigns or you're running something similar that has image-based ads, the Microsoft Audience Network allows you a reach that is not capable in other platforms. So if you're looking at Google here, 11 million unique audiences that are not on Google, 76.7 million unique audiences not reached on Facebook, 116.2 million unique audiences not reached on Twitter. And then also if you're running Gemini native, there are 87.3 million unique audiences that are not reached on Gemini. As we go over into the next slide, the extended search campaigns to reach audiences beyond search. So this allows you to place a new version of Microsoft Audience. You may be running your regular search campaign, and you can layer this on. A highly relevant audience of people who have shown an intent or interest in products and services you want to sell. So using the AI and the machine learning, ads are matched in search history, audience intent signals, and productivity. and more to deliver engaging experiences to Microsoft's publishers. The good thing about this is that we get a massive reach and high quality of brand safe placement on MSN, Microsoft Outlook, and Edge. And something historically that we've heard from consumers is that while this is great, they wanted to be careful with where these images were showing up. So, for instance, if there was a news article that they didn't have their brand next to, the Microsoft Audience Network now filters through that to make sure that we are placing ads in the brand aspect. The next slide talks a little bit about a smarter way to target your ideal customer. And so really the way that we're doing this is the actual how you set up your campaign with the Microsoft Audience. You can basically target it through marketing and paid search, in-market audiences, custom audiences, and then the product ads that we talked about. But we're introducing a new feature and something that you can't necessarily do in other platforms, which is we now allow LinkedIn profile targeting, which you can target companies, industries, and titles. So an example of this is I work on a high-end luxury brand who is targeting CEOs to get more for their buck or get their expensive item bought. Or I have a company that sells computers who's targeting SMB businesses through the LinkedIn profile targeting piece. But when we go over into the next slide, one of the things that we heard last year was that there was some feedback from advertisers, just like you, who said, I don't want another ad offering with fading performance and quality. I need a solution that is always learning in response to deliver strong performance. And I think our business and our engineering team thought, well, how can we have a product that will allow so that's when the Microsoft Audience Network was released. Over into the next slide, talk a little bit about a smart differentiator, and it's really on the Microsoft Graph. So the way that the technology works to show the ads is through the Microsoft Graph. And so going over into the next slide, you can see here that delivering rich user understanding. This is what was happening historically before this product. So we had different data sets happening. So Microsoft was gathering conversion history, purchase history of everything that we could really track. Think of this as like a UET code or a pixel that we had to track what's happening from our audiences. We also had in-market audiences happening and custom audiences, and then that LinkedIn data set. But the Microsoft Audience Network really allowed us over on the next slide to kind of bring everything together and chase the user throughout the whole platform of our products and conversion histories, brand performances, etc. And so this allows us, over into the next slide, to really understand the signals. And the graph is made up of a robust data set that includes the search and web activity, like I mentioned, and these data sets and the ongoing signals that we receive, along with the machine learning algorithms, allow us to maintain a deep understanding of the user. Over into the next slide, there are two different ways that we can use this new product. They are in terms of search, and then we can also do the audience network. So for search workflow, you can just add image extensions, and then for this Microsoft Audience Ads, you're bidding on audiences, you're not bidding necessarily on keywords. The great thing about this is that this year we're going to be working to release publisher level targeting, and so such as optimizing with bid modifiers, you'll be able to work with some of our publishers as we add them on. So let's say, for instance, Yahoo becomes a publisher or a third party becomes a publisher, you're able to put where you want your ad. Over into the next slide. The biggest benefit and the thing that I would call out the most about the Microsoft Audience Network is that we need images to get these assets to show in real life. And it's in order to get the most out of the advertising. We want to create visually appealing ads and meet all the criteria that include the prominent MSN homepage. So this is just a quick little view, so that way you can come back and look at some of the collateral that we have here on how to optimize and manage. And my colleague Joe is going to walk us through what that's going to look like. But I wanted to just kind of say that it's pretty simple to set up, and with your NetElixir representatives who are pretty well versed in this product, they can definitely help you get this set up, and we have an offering at the end that we'll talk about to get you set up on this. Over on to the next slide. If you're wondering who should be using the Microsoft Audience Network, it actually is fitting for every single vertical. And within in-market audiences or remarketing, as long as you have those added, it's pretty simple to get optimized for every single vertical. And lastly, I'll just call out onto the next slide that the Microsoft Audience really is a convenient, controllable product that allows us to target with images. It allows us to show up on different placements utilizing the Bing UI. All right, so I will kick it off to Joe, who's going to talk a little bit more into the analysis of how to set up the accounts, a little bit into the weeds, but to get a better understanding of where we can kind of start, especially if you're working with NetElixir already. If not, you can reach out to them and we can add the data to your account.
Thanks, Milton. So I just want to kick this off by saying that I don't really know how AI works. I barely know how the Bing algorithm works. What I do know is how to use these tools to actually get revenue for my accounts and the businesses that they work for. Now, what I want to highlight here is that MSAN, even though it's a new product for us, is very easy to use, and I'm seeing amazing performance so far for those that are using it correctly. And I also want to highlight that NetElixir is one of the agencies that are true early adopters of this product, and I would say experts on it at this point. Move on to the next slide. So this is just to give you an idea of what MSAN looks like in the UI and some of the levers that you can pull. You can see that you can do all the normal stuff from ad scheduling to device type bid adjustments, demographic bid adjustments based on age and gender, excluding certain sites. That includes excluding certain placements, like say you didn't want to be on Outlook and you only wanted to be on MSN. And then you can have tracking so that you can, most importantly, probably actually prove out that this is bringing revenue into your business. Move forward. Just a little bit more of a visual into how you would add image extensions. Even if you didn't want to do this closed beta and get into the full MSAN capabilities, what you can do, as Milton kind of alluded to, is add images to your account. So if you get these images in, our algorithm will magically show those images, show your existing ads to those people that are most likely to convert. Again, I'm not sure how this is working, but I can only speak for the accounts that I work on and their performance. And the people that have added images have seen very strong performance. In terms of image specs, I'm sure a lot of people are already advertising on Facebook or on GDN and these images. You should be able to bring those same creatives right into Bing. So at Bing, we're not necessarily the leader in search, but we do try to make it as easy as possible for our clients to bring over what they're using on Google and get that same success on our network, which at this point is around 35%. For reporting, you'll be able to actually see on a very granular level what performance looks like. All the normal columns are available. Switch over to the next slide, please. I just wanted to share a few best practices, and this is something that you can refer back to when you get the deck. But biggest things to mention is that you use high quality images, not surprising there, that you have a variety of aspect ratios, that way we can get you as much volume as possible. And lastly, that you test multiple ads. So that includes different ad copies, different creatives, and different combinations of them. Just to give you an idea of what the campaign structure should probably look like, you want to basically get it as granular as possible so that your remarketing is in one campaign, in-market is in one campaign, etc. And it's as specific as possible so that you can have complete control over each campaign. That means that for cart abandoners, you can bid $1, you might be willing to spend $2, and for a run of network very broad campaign, you might be willing to spend only 30 cents. So it's really important that you set this up, and NetElixir is professional at doing this type of thing at this point. They've done it for many of their accounts. And you can see here kind of what the parity looks like between MSN, Google, and Facebook. For a new product, we have most of these core features accounted for. But if you are curious about specifics, reference this. Other parity type items. This is available in the US, the UK, Canada, and EU.
Okay. All right, we'll kick it over to you to talk a little bit about the coupon offer that we have.
Yeah, first off, I wanted to thank Milton and Joe for joining us today. And we have a special offer that Microsoft Ads is providing. If you reach out to a NetElixir representative to request a $250 coupon to test a new Bing account or a new MSAN campaign. So please take a moment to send us any questions that you have. We'll be starting our question segment in about a minute. Okay, it looks like our first question is from John. John would like to know, what are the main differences between Google Ads and Microsoft Bing?
I'll take that. So this is Milton over at Microsoft. So thanks, John. Great question. I think a lot of times when we hear this from customers, specifically on their vertical, one of the biggest things that I like to call out or talk about is that there is a differentiator in the audience that we have over on our engine compared to Google. So earlier on, where we mentioned that we are our audience is a little bit more affluent in terms of their salary, they have a higher degree, a little bit older. So those are different types of ways that we're a little bit different than Google. Something that I always call out, though, is that we are Microsoft first and Bing second. And so what I mean by that is that we have a high concentration of desktop usage, where Google has a very strong mobile presence. And we do as well. And actually 26% of our volume of the 35% is made up of mobile. But it's important to really target your campaigns and really focus on a desktop strategy and not just mirror everything over that you're doing from the Google side over into the Bing side. And so, that's just one quick tip that I would say we differentiate from Google, because we are a desktop first company. So with the edge placements that I talked about, showing all of Bing opportunities where we can show up, there is a lot of usage happening on the desktop. So target a specific strategy.
All right, perfect. Our next question comes from Tracy. Tracy would like to know, if you started using Bing Microsoft, what type of results could you expect to see overall? And a second part would be, how would it vary on average by industry?
I'll take that one as well. So by industry or by vertical, it's very, very different. There is one slide that we kind of scanned through in the beginning, and I just want to apologize for the technical difficulties that made it harder to understand that slide. But ultimately, that slide shows the different percentage of market share. One thing that Bing is known for is cheaper CPCs and a better return, and because it is a little bit cheaper. So I would say you can expect that. But I won't blanket statement that for every single vertical, because obviously competition and different nuances do make a difference. But overall, we have seen that we have cheaper CPCs and a better return. But and caveat that is that our volume is a little bit less than Google's at 35% market share for PC, where they're at about 60.
All right, perfect. And this concludes Modern Search Month for NetElixir. Thank you again, Bing and Milton, for joining us. And watch out for the recording. We hope you all take advantage of the special offer that we have on the screen. If you have any questions, please reach out to your NetElixir representative. All right, thank you, everyone, and I hope you have a great day.
Thanks, Heather. Thanks, everyone.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, everyone.